Okay, I think we are live. Let me just refresh the actual YouTube page.
Okay, nice.
See that it has gone live. Yep, okay, we're live. Hi, everyone. I'm not sure if anyone has logged on yet, but we're making chili oil with Zaynab. Chili crisp oil to be specific. It's chili oil, but with crispy shallots and garlic, and it really makes a difference. I'm just prepping the ingredients, so if you guys did look over the ingredients, we need sliced garlic and shallots, so I'm just slicing that. You can do it with a knife, but I have this microplane. I don't know if it's like in the view of the camera. And then I have this glove that like prevents my finger. Yeah. Okay, hold on. I think I have to mute my computer. We're making chili oil with Zaynab. Chili crisp oil to be specific. It's chili oil, but with crispy shallots and garlic. Is it your computer that's playing, or is it maybe my computer? I'm just hearing.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing
the
feedback. Yeah, the feedback.
Got it. I had the YouTube channel open on another browser. Okay, sorry. So this glove helps my hand not being chopped off. And this is just, it's so easy. And we'll talk about like really great kitchen tools in a little bit later. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead in that and I'll pass it over to you, Zaynab, to just talk about like, I guess the inspiration and the enjoyment of this dish itself.
Yeah, I think that like a big part of why I love this so much is when I go out to restaurants, it's like always on the table, whether it's like a Chinese food restaurant or even like some Italian restaurants always have some sort of like chili oil on the side, and it really elevates your eating experience. And when we're all stuck at home, those little things really make a difference. And it's honestly so easy and it lasts so long that you why not? I made this 3 weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago, and I just finished it last night. And
you like, put it probably in everything. Yeah. And I love that, like you said, you get it in sort of Italian and Asian restaurants, but it's not necessarily specific to that food. It's not overpowering in any way of any one of those cuisines, right?
Yeah.
It's like I recently was gifted a truffle chili oil, which is amazing, but you can't, you know, as enjoyable as that is, you can't put it on everything. So I think the great thing about
it's true. The flavor is pretty strong.
Right. And so I think the great thing about this is that you can really put it on anything. And someone like me that loves like chili to spice up any dish to like elevate it.
For sure.
This just takes it to another level. It feels so gourmet.
But also like if you are like not into super spicy food, cut down the amount of chilies for sure, and it'll still be good. It's just like literally a flavor addition. So if you like right now the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup, and also I wanted to mention when you're picking your red chili flakes to watch out for color. So actually I'm gonna show you.
Please. It's a great learning experience for me too. Guys, while she's grabbing that, I just wanted to let you guys know that today's session, in light of just how we've been listening and learning over the past 2 weeks, and in light of current events, that we really wanted to honor and dedicate this session to the Loveland Fund. And I'm going to put a little comment in the chat box for everyone to see. But in short, the Loveland Fund is a fund that, with the money that they are donated, they help get Black women and girls specifically access to therapy. And just a little bit more about that. Like, I think most people are familiar with the fact that therapy costs, and it can go a long way. And access to just finding a therapist can be hard to begin with, let alone the cost. And I think that for a lot of what I've learned, something I learned yesterday was that, you know, a mother told her son that she was reflecting on her own experience, and she's like, I tell my son when he leaves the house, you know, have a safe drive, like be safe, and that's pretty much it. Whereas most Black families, if not all, have, when their kids leave the house, it's like, you know, even if you're just buying a packet of gum, get a receipt, you know, don't keep your hands in your hoodie. And it's just that small perspective change, change in your mind, that shift, it's so big. And I think that those little traumas, they are lifelong, and they're sort of ingrained in Black families and children of Black families. And so I think that's why this fund did speak to us a little bit. And of course, it's especially when it's for women, and in many cultures anyways, it's very it's stigmatized, right? Therapy is stigmatized. So I think this helps that access and that just that privacy and like, you know, not having to reach out to too many family members to access such services. So
Yeah,
I'll put a link in the comment, and then we're also gonna match donations up to $100. Zaynab's generously offered that. So if you guys can screenshot your receipt, whatever the amount is, it doesn't matter how little or how big it is, just screenshot it to her, and if it adds, all of them add up to $100, we'll match that, and we'll be able to help this cause in a great way. So I'll go ahead and put that in the comments, and Zainab will let you share the links.
Yeah. I definitely think that we all have our part to play, and definitely right now there's a push, but I think we need to maintain that push. And like, of course, certain things will go back to normal, but I think keeping that anti-racist mentality at like always top of mind, and like starting normalcy with that mentality is going to make a huge difference. And I was actually just talking to someone yesterday, and they were like, what do you feel like this is going to accomplish? And I'm like, honestly, if I can change one person's mind or make one person aware of what's happening around us, and I'm so glad that I come from a place of being able to do that.
Yeah,
it could change the world. Just one person thinking differently or realizing that their actions have repercussions makes such a big difference.
So definitely
I'm so glad, and I'm so happy that I'm able to match the donation. So yeah, DM me your receipt. My Instagram is Zaynab _Issa.
We'll
probably put in the
subtitles over here as well.
Perfect. Yeah. Really glad to do that.
So
back to the chilies, I just like grabbed two that I had in my pantry. These ones you might be able to see are pretty dark. So that means that they're older. So as the chilies stay in your cabinet, they're gonna discolor. And these ones I bought yesterday, they're pretty bright.
Difference.
Yeah,
so I can show you side by side. But these ones are going to be spicier. So chilies in general, even if they're fresh, when you keep them in the fridge, generally speaking, they're going to get spicier as they sit. So the first day you buy them, they're going to be like pretty mild or maybe spicy, but they're going to get significantly more spicy as they sit. So the same thing holds true for these guys. I'm using the brighter red ones also because I want a brighter red color, and I also don't want it to be super spicy because I typically tend to spice my food anyway.
Oh, that's a good point.
So
just keep that in mind. It doesn't make a difference. Totally use this. Maybe cut down by like a couple teaspoons or a tablespoon if your chili flakes are darker.
That's so interesting because I feel like for most spices, you feel like the fresher they are, the more burst of flavor they have. So that was a great learning point. Thank you for that.
And
also speaking to the to how red we want the chili oil, that's why we have paprika in the recipe. Totally feel free to leave this out, but it definitely will ensure that your chili oil is red, even if your chili flakes are less red.
Interesting. Okay, and then what flavor profile would you say that the smoked paprika adds to the whole dish?
So it's sweet.
It's sweet. It's like a sweet smokiness. You could totally use regular paprika. It'll work just the same. But what that means is that my sugar amount isn't so high. So I'm only going to use 1 teaspoon of sugar. If you're omitting the paprika, increase it by like a half teaspoon or so, or up to 2, depending on how much you want that flavor to come through. But definitely use it. If you haven't, might as well. It'll make it really pretty, if nothing else.
Yeah, it does. I do love the bright red color of the oil, which everyone will be able to see towards.
Yeah, and that's like that satisfactory moment once you're done. Once you have that like bright red color, you feel like you did it right.
Like a little cheat.
And like a little cheat.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm actually gonna get started.
You want to use a smaller sauce pot than you think that you're gonna need, because basically we have 2 large shallots, and I'm going to talk about the size of the shallot in a little bit, but you want to make sure that the amount of oil you use completely or mostly covers the shallots and garlic that are going in. So I'm going to put these in here.
Yeah, I have a small stainless steel pot too. So if anyone is...
And you want to keep them like pretty thinly sliced, I would say.
Okay.
I'm going to pull one out here. This is pretty good. Fur was using a mandolin, which is perfect. Makes things much faster. I'm one of those weird people that finds like spending 2 hours chopping things very therapeutic. So I did it by hand, but definitely if you're in a pinch, totally just use the mandolin. So I'm putting in the garlic as well. Here, I'll put the frame down. And as far as aromatics go, I'm using 1 cinnamon stick, the peppercorns, and I'm using Szechuan peppercorns, which are actually this pink pinkish peppercorn variety that are less peppery than you would think and sort of impart this like floral flavor. They're really hard to find, I'm not gonna lie to you. Definitely like annoying to have to order them on Amazon because you probably won't find them at your local grocery store, but it's really worth it. And I think in general for cooking, it's really nice. And if you're making like Asian dishes, use this instead of black pepper when you're seasoning. It adds like this sort of numbingness. That's not like it doesn't hurt, but like it's interesting. It's unique, and so like it feels different.
It adds almost more flavor.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get like a really nice smell too. That's also different than what you're used to when it comes to peppercorn. So I'm using a mix here. You could totally just use 1 teaspoon of black peppercorns, but I have half teaspoon of the Szechuan peppercorns and half a teaspoon of the black peppercorn.
And we're not doing anything to the peppercorns. We're putting them straight in.
Yeah, straight in. So just level things out so that things are as flat and as compact as they can be. And this would be a great time to add in any other like aromatics that you personally like. Star anise is great here. You like black cardamom, green cardamom, cloves, like whatever flavor profiles you're hoping to get out of it at the end. It's going to be pretty subtle because again the chili is going to be the most dramatic flavor. But it's totally worth adding if you like those flavors. So I'm gonna have 1.5 cups of a neutral oil here: vegetable oil, canola oil, peanut oil. You don't want to use anything with a super high smoke point because all of these ingredients are going to be simmering.
So I just wanted to add in that I'm using avocado oil. I love using that in general just because of its high smoke point. Just makes it a little healthier too. So I always just have that in bulk on hand. And it's neutral, so I'm going to use that. But I would assume something like olive oil or coconut oil would be just too flavorful for this, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Olive oil might not be so bad, but it has a high smoke. It has a low smoke point, so ideally, like something neutral, canola vegetable works fine. So as you can see, the shallots, garlic, cinnamon, and peppercorns are all like completely submerged. And so we're gonna put this on the stove on a medium flame. If your pot is small, use your smallest burner so that like things stay even. And just literally leave it for 25 minutes. If you feel like your shallots are super clumpy, it would be a good idea to use a fork to break them up. So I'm just going to do that actually right now.
Separate them?
Just to separate them, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm like using a stainless steel pot, so I got the ingredients in here. I'm just going to put in the oil. You have a nonstick, right?
Yeah, I'm using a nonstick.
Yeah, I'm using a
nonstick.
Just
with my experience with stainless steel, just if anyone watching is going to be using one or is using one, it does tend to heat up all over, so just be careful as when you get ready to move the pot when you're pouring. It gets really hot, so just be mindful of that.
Okay, so I'm
gonna move this to the stove, and you probably should put a timer on, starting from 20 minutes. It could take up to like 25 to 30 minutes for everything to crisp up nicely. It all depends on how thin you went on your garlic and shallots.
Okay, perfect. So I'm one step behind. So I'm gonna put the peppercorns in. Let me just do the timer. Let me see if there's anything going on in the chat. Hi Zaynab, if I don't have shallots, can I sub with onions or maybe whites of scallions? Sorry, Zaynab, can you try? Is there anything on your phone that's on? Is any of your is the YouTube playing anywhere on your phone?
No.
Okay.
No.
Some people are saying that there is an echo. I'm just trying to see if it's anything on my end because I have everything off on my end. Let me just see. Okay. Everything's off on my end, so hopefully it goes away. Maybe it was just in the beginning.
Yeah, hopefully.
We did fix that in the beginning, so hopefully, if any of you hear an echo up till now, up to the point where we're adding the oil to the dish, just let us know. Because there was one before and it lags a little bit, but we did try to fix it. And then someone's asking if we don't have shallots, can we sub with onions or maybe the whites of scallions? That's actually a very good question.
So I would say
no to the onions just because the water content is super high, and when you're submerging something in oil, you're going to get a lot of splatter if the water content is super high.
Oh yeah, that's so true. And then would scallions fall in, like the whites of scallions? Would that work?
I feel like
that would work. I haven't tried it to be honest, but like typically speaking, they're less watery than an onion, for example. That's definitely worth trying. You wouldn't want to use like a purple onion. Honestly, you could omit the garlic and scallions completely. That's like what makes this a chili crisp. And just make it like a really flavorful chili oil. This adds some nice texture that like if you have the time and you have the ingredients, why not? Actually, let me show you.
Perfect. So I just wanted to share that I just added the oil to mine, and I guess I have like a sauce pour over pot, and it's not. Let me just show you. So I poured it in 1.5 cups of oil as per the recipe, but I know it's more specific to like eyeballing if it covers the onions. I mean the shallots.
Yeah.
So I think I used maybe like 1.25 or 1 cup. So it was great because I didn't need as much oil.
Yeah. In terms of shallot size,
so the recipe calls for 2 large shallots. When you open this shallot, it's gonna have 2 heads to it.
Yeah, I do notice that sometimes.
So you want
to be like that.
Both.
Yeah, so this would be
considered a large shallot.
Okay.
If there's 2, it's large.
This would be a small.
This would be a small, in which case I would double it.
Okay.
So I would use like 4 small shallots.
And then this would be
a medium where there's like a small second bulb happening on the side here.
And you would
probably want to use 1.5 for every 1 large shallot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it would be 3 of these, 2 of these, which is the large one, and 4 of the smaller ones. So depending on what you have on hand, just go for that. But yeah, definitely this is 1 shallot, even though when you open it, you're gonna get 2 bulbs.
So that's just like
a tip, because I know
it can
be a little bit confusing.
Open it
and you're like, shit, there's
Yeah.
4 shallots in here.
Okay. So, hold on. Sorry, I'm just going to share the link again in the email because I feel like a few participants have messaged me on the side to say they weren't able to log on. And then some people are still receiving a echo. So I gotta figure out where it's coming from.
Is it maybe
because the phone or laptop that you're using is on the counter?
I wonder because like my speakers from my laptop are facing up.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. I'm not sure.
Is there anything under your phone if it's on a stand?
It's suspended.
It's not. It's like the stand for it doesn't have a bottom, right?
Yeah. I'm hearing like iMessage notifications.
Yeah, that's my computer. I gotta put that up.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to see. Let me. Maybe if I just reduce the volume, hopefully that should help.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, guys, I've tried to adjust the volume on the streaming back end of YouTube. If you guys still hear an echo, sorry. I know this may be annoying. Just let me know though, like so I can just see what may be working, what may not be working. It is our first live, so thank you for working with us on that. And then I'm just going to share this link again. So I think a few people weren't able to log in. So let me just share this. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. So we went over the and so someone's asking if this is going to be saved. Yeah, so this is why we wanted to do it on YouTube because it does save it, and it's better quality. It's in the landscape. You don't have to necessarily watch it on your phone. You can, but you don't have to. And so I love it for that. Okay, so now we got the stuff on. We got our shallots, our cinnamon stick, peppercorns, and garlic simmering on the stove. We're gonna let that simmer for about another 15 to 18 minutes.
Yeah.
And then what's next?
So I'm gonna start by cutting up the ginger. You want to cut this into dices, pretty small. I'm using a 2-inch piece of ginger.
Okay.
If you're using organic ginger, honestly, I don't feel like you need to peel it.
Yeah. Honestly, I never even peel it.
But if you're using organic, don't peel it. Today I'm not using organic, so I'm gonna go ahead and peel it. You could totally use the spoon trick. It's a good one.
Yeah.
I just typically cut it off.
Yeah. Okay.
It's much easier.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, I used to do that where I only peeled it when it was organic, and now I just give it a good scrub even. But of course, it's more that you don't need to. It's personal preference. Like if you don't want that texture in there, you can take it off, but there's no harm if you leave it on. And then I just want to share. So I do this thing where I buy fresh ginger, just similar to what Zaynab's using, and then I put it in my little like ninja smoothie blender with some water just to get it going, and I create a paste just because I get through ginger and garlic quite often. Just like within just using it for like traditional foods or just in general, honestly, I use it for everything. I put it in my tea, makes it so much easier to just, take a little bit and put it in my tea. So I keep that on hand. So I'm going to be using that. So I would say about 2 tablespoons is equivalent to about 2 inches of ginger being cut. Zaynab, can you share with us a little bit about how you're going about cutting? Because I know that can be a little intimidating sometimes.
Yeah. So after I peeled it, I'm going to slice it across. So into these sort of plates, I guess you would say. And then I'm going to put them all together and then slice it again into sticks, like little sticks, and then go across and
dice it. Okay, perfect. So this is not going in the oil, right? This is separate, so I should keep this on the side.
Yeah, this is separate.
Perfect. So I'm going to keep that separate. I'm just going to spoon out too. And then what is your recommendations for knives? Because I feel like good kitchen knives that are user-friendly, but still make cooking so much easier.
Stop talking about this.
Like these ceramic knives.
I don't even know where I got for the first time, but they're incredible.
And they're for produce.
Not really
for poultry and
meat.
But they're incredible. They're by the brand Sarah. You can get like a pack. They're a little bit expensive, but honestly, I've had a set for like a year and a half. And I haven't needed to replace them yet. So I don't need to sharpen them.
I was gonna ask.
They're hand washed. So it's super easy and they work just as well.
Okay. Amazing.
Those are my favorite.
That's so interesting. I've never really seen ceramic knives before I saw yours. And so you said you don't need to sharpen them.
No, not at all.
That's amazing.
Not at all.
Yeah,
and
saves that step.
They're super easy to clean. And yeah, love them.
That's really great. And yeah, you know what? Knives, like, I think sometimes their price tag seems like, whoa, but they are, use them every day. It really changes up how
they really change your cooking experience.
Having a better knife really makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, yeah, I do agree. I feel like if you have a good knife and, like you said, chopping can be very therapeutic, but if it makes that, those tools make your job easier, you can enjoy the experience. And you're more likely to cook, right? Like, if you're one of those people that's, like, trying to get into cooking, whether it's for health reasons or just because, like, you're just spending more time at home, it really makes a difference. Is your
chili oil simmering?
Yeah, it's already been simmering, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So just to go over, I'll have you look at it as well and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what simmering, let me try to get the angle.
That's perfect.
It's like, woo, can't get the angle.
I see some bubbles.
On the side.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. Honestly, just keep it on medium. Like, don't play with it too much.
Yeah, mine is
a little bit of patience involved.
The perfect time to prep
the rest of the ingredients.
Okay, perfect. So we got some ginger.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some ginger, and then so I seen that your recipe that you use a mortar and pestle for the chili. And for the chili flakes and the paprika. So can you tell us a little bit more about that in terms of like why it's optional, but if you do it, what it sort of adds to the recipe?
So that's perfect. I'm going to start doing that right now.
Okay, actually. So I have my quarter cup of
in
the bottom
of my mortar
and pestle.
Oh, amazing.
And I'm gonna add the paprika to it.
The point of obviously chili flakes are pretty.
So the point of this is to break them down and also help with the color. The smaller the pieces are, hopefully the color will diffuse. The oil will diffuse and we'll get a really good like bright red color. So I'm just gonna do this for like I would say 30 seconds. I go in circular motions to break everything up. I've just put the paprika in there as well. Just
grind it down.
Crush it up. It'll be visible the difference. You'll see like it goes a little bit powdery.
The seeds are pretty much gonna remain pretty hard to break those guys down, but the flakes are definitely gonna get smaller and more powdery.
Okay, amazing.
Take 30 seconds.
So I, speaking of mortar and pestle, so I when I first moved here and I was like building up my kitchen, I bought this big marble one. I just honestly I love the look of it. I do love cooking and I do enjoy like a good evening where I'm just like making something. I wouldn't say I'm good. I just enjoy the process. And so I bought this and it's actually so useful. I use it to crush garlic. Like if I don't want to actually physically chop it or put it into a food processor, this just like for marinades and for just melding all those flavors together, I love it.
No, exactly.
Actually,
one of my favorite things to make in this is like a homemade green curry using like mostly like cilantro.
Say that again to make green.
You can just literally do the whole thing right here. You don't need to bring out any appliance or blender or anything. It's a little bit more manual labor, obviously, but to be honest, pretty satisfying. Happens really fast.
Sorry, I missed what you make in it with the cilantro.
Yeah, like a homemade green curry.
Oh, so you make like almost the paste and the sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so interesting. That's a really good idea.
And honestly, you live in an apartment, you probably don't want to have like so many different varieties of spices. So many spices go whole and ground. Cumin, for example, I use whole cumin seeds and ground cumin seeds. So sometimes like I will just have whole cumin seeds in my apartment just because like space.
Oh yeah.
And throw them in here, grind them up. Even like cardamom, I keep it whole. I don't keep it ground, and I will just do it every time I need it. Right here. So this is what you're looking for.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it's a little more like disintegrated.
Yeah, exactly. And the paprika helps as well.
So like a lot of times when
I'm gonna actually transfer this into a medium-sized
bowl. So basically, the bowl has to be heat-proof, right? Because you're gonna put in the hot oil.
Exactly. You don't want to use plastic at this point. So definitely glass or metal, something that can handle like super hot oil.
Okay.
I'm gonna put this in the bottom.
So you're putting in the chili mixture first. You're putting in the chili mixture first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna put in the ginger as well.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put that in there. Oh, I love the color. I guess mine's a little fresher. It's on the brighter side. So good. And I feel like with a lot of the other things that you could use in a mortar and pestle, just something that I've learned, and so I would share it with you guys that like I've been putting in things like a garlic clove or basil leaves or whatever to make a pesto. Putting in some good coarse salt to get that grinding action going. It really helps.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It really helps. And okay, so you got the chili in there, and then I'm gonna put in the ginger.
Yeah.
So I got my ginger paste.
Okay, lovely.
How many tablespoons?
So I did 2 tablespoons.
Perfect.
I mean, I eyeballed it, but I feel like that is what equated to 2-inch knob of ginger. So should be. I think that's the great thing about this recipe.
I'm gonna put the sugar in as well.
I'm gonna put the sugar in too.
Let me get that. And that was a teaspoon.
Yeah, 1 teaspoon of sugar.
1 teaspoon of sugar. If you're omitting the paprika, bump that up to like 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons.
And I'm gonna use soy sauce. You could totally just use salt. If you don't have soy sauce, tamari works great. You just want like a salty element here. So
perfect. Okay, so I actually have, and then maybe whoever has this at home too. This might be helpful. I'm using coconut aminos. It's basically a soy-free and gluten-free alternative to soy sauce, but it's made with coconut. So coconuts, when it's, I mean, I'm sure you guys are familiar with like coconut milk and stuff. It tends to be on the sweeter side. So I guess I would add in like maybe half a teaspoon of salt here.
Of sugar, yeah.
So I've got so should I omit the sugar and put in the salt instead because this is already sweet, or should I half the quantity of sugar?
Yeah, I would half the quantity of sugar and add in a little bit extra salt, like maybe a quarter teaspoon or a half teaspoon. Are you using kosher?
Yeah, I have like more coarse salt.
Yeah, so then do like a half teaspoon. I would say. Generally speaking, if you're using table salt, always use half the amount recommended.
It's a little stronger.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So then. Sorry, what was the amount of, let me see, the amount of soy sauce was 1.5 tablespoons.
1.5 tablespoons is good for like a normal salt level.
Okay.
You like your food extra salty, go for the 2.
Okay.
If you don't like salt, then put in 1.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to do, since this is on the sweeter side, I'll just do
So once that's all in the bottom, just lay a mesh strainer or a sieve on top.
Okay.
And that will just pour the oil in through to get the crispy bits to be separated.
Okay. So they'll be ready to go then. Okay. So let me add, so I'm going to half the quantity of the sugar. And then I'm going to add in some more salt to balance it out. So the sugar, what would you say the purpose of the sugar is? Because,
like, you want to balance out the flavor, right?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
In terms of, you don't want anything to be like overly savory, overly sweet. It's a condiment, right? So that it should impart flavor, but not overpower. So by balancing out the sugar and the salt, it's going to balance out the chili and the savoriness from the crisp.
Yeah.
So it keeps everything in check, I would say.
Yeah. That's something I noticed recently when I started making pasta sauce from scratch. I noticed, like, watching a lot of Italian bloggers and YouTube just home chefs online, and they always said to add in sugar to balance out the acidity of the tomato, and I thought that was so interesting because that's nothing that I would have thought of myself.
Yeah, it's not necessarily for sweetness. It's more just to balance out the acidity.
Right.
There's a lot of, like, spice and acidity happening from all the ingredients.
Yeah. I love how easy this is. I mean, I was like barely prepped with my ingredients, but I feel like it could come together so easily because it's mostly things you have at home, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's like all pretty much pantry staples. The only thing you wouldn't have that I feel like you should get just for sure.
Because they're great ingredients.
The peppercorns, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. What would you say are some of your other pantry staples? Or like things you always like to have at home?
The crushed red pepper flakes. I sort of always have those on hand. I put them at the end of a meal, like in the cooking for sure.
Do you like that better than cayenne powder, or is it is it different? Okay.
No, I definitely think you have more control with the chili flake than you do with the cayenne powder. Pepper powders in general, I feel like vary so much. Even like my favorite red pepper powder is actually Kashmiri red chili powder. And it's
bright red
known
flavor.
to be like a super bright red, milder chili powder.
Yeah.
But every time I like repurchase, it's a different level of spice, which is natural, you know. But I feel like with the red chili flakes, I definitely have more control.
That's interesting. Okay. What else would you say is like good?
Probably vegetable stock for most things that require water. I usually sub with vegetable stock just for that added little boost. You keep it in the pantry. You can never have too much, so it's definitely
has a long shelf life.
Yeah, like honestly, pasta sauces that require water, any cooking that requires water, even soups. If it's like, even in my like Thai green curry where it's like some water and some coconut milk, I use vegetable stock there too. Crushed tomatoes for sure. That can go like so many different ways. You can go Italian with that. Most of actually my like Indian food cooking is crushed tomato based also. Okay. And they come in like the nice size jars. Yeah. You can just, so you it's portioned. 2 dinners out of one. Yeah. Yeah. That makes life easy. Probably like any type of noodles or pasta. Whether that's like ramen noodles.
Are you loyal to any certain brand? Because I've had these conversations with other people, so I'm interested to see if you.
Yeah, for spaghetti, definitely De Cecco. Yeah. Their method is supposedly superior. I feel like it tastes great, so I usually go with that.
No harm.
Yeah. And then with noodles, honestly, I just go with whatever's at the grocery store. Yeah. And then probably a white bean. I know that's weird, but like I feel like a bean is a very like chickpeas or cannellini beans or butter beans. You can go so many ways with them.
That's true.
They just like beef everything up.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's not like.
And it can go in different meals. Like it can be an appetizer, it can be a main course, you know. Yeah. And in some cases, a dessert.
One of my favorite dinners is actually this like coconutty chickpea turmeric curry, and all it is chickpeas, and like I'm so full, like in the best way.
Yeah. It's so much fiber. It's so good for you.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can get that from somewhere else other than meat, like why not? It makes your life easier.
Yeah, that shoots good protein.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna check on the.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what yours looks like because mine looks like it's cooking, but it's not as brown as like probably just not yet. Maybe it's not enough time.
Yeah. We're like about 5 minutes out.
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I can see the edges of the onions brown. Okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna give this another go and see if you guys can see.
I'm gonna bring you over to the stove.
Yeah, I'm trying to put it over my pot. So it's like the edges are browning, but it's not.
Okay.
The camera mirror, so I have to like move in the opposite direction. But yeah, I know I love those pantry staples. I love that you put stock in there because it's like, you know, your first reaction is like, oh, that's so basic, but it's true. It goes a long way. Oh, yours. Okay, so yours are similar to mine. The edges are browning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Once the browning starts, it's going to happen really quickly.
Okay, so keep an eye on it. Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and also keep an eye on taking it out before you think it's ready because they're going to continue to brown as they cool.
I still feel like mine needs
They smell so. It smells so good in here. It smells really good.
It does, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So excited.
So excited.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it.
I'm gonna give it a few more minutes.
And then I'm gonna get. I'm just gonna grab a sieve, a metal sieve. Let me see what I have.
In the meantime, I'm actually gonna make crispy rice.
Say it again.
In the meantime, I'm gonna
put some crispy rice on the
Okay,
stove.
amazing. Yeah. So in wanting to show you guys sort of how we can use this, So Zaynab's going to show you how to put it on sort of like a more of a lunch or dinner meal. And then I've prepared just like a fried egg, cut up some avocado, and plated some hummus. So I just want to show you how it can be used to really like such basic items and elevate it and just make it that much more special. So we'll do that towards the end. And then just for anyone that's been joining late, because I know some people had a little bit of difficulty logging on, thank you for joining us first of all. And then I just wanted to go over sort of what we're honoring and dedicating this session to. So it's for the Loveland Fund, and we have the link in the comments and in the description of our YouTube video. But basically the Loveland Fund, with the money that's donated to them, they help fund and bring access to therapy sessions for Black women and girls. And just to like recap on something I shared earlier in the session, that the Black community has a lot of trauma because of the racism that they face. Like just leaving the house, they have to prepare mentally so much, you know, taking a receipt for every little item they buy, and you know, just in the fear of just unfortunately not reaching home or being stopped on the way home. So there's a lot of trauma in the community from day one because parents have to prep their kids. And I think with that mixed with the stigma of therapy, that it's a great fund, and it really touched us, and it supports Black women and girls. So please, guys, donate generously through the link, and then just DM us a receipt, or you can even email us a picture of your receipt, because Zaynab's going to generously match donations up to $100. If all of them combined add up to $100, we can double that and raise so much money for this great cause. Okay, so please, I'll let you take it over.
Yeah, so mine actually looks ready and done. So I'm going to move the camera back to the counter and take you with me.
Take you with me. Let me just put this off. Okay, mine is still browning a little bit, so I'll let you, because I'm a few minutes behind you on the recipe. Yeah. But, okay, I'll watch what you do so it's perfect, because then I can do it right after you. So, yeah, I guess just something to keep in mind for everyone during this step is just the hot oil. Just be careful.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, yeah, so let me just see. I have
I'm going to do my best to show you guys what happens. Let me pull you in a little bit closer, actually.
It's going to bubble up a lot, and that's because there's liquid water in the form of the soy sauce. So that's going to immediately steam, and the chilies are going to crisp on the bottom as well, and so will the ginger. So
okay.
I don't know if you see what's happening. It's just simmering slightly, but it might bubble up more, just depends. So now that you have all of your crispy shallots and garlic, I'm going to pour them out onto a plate so they have a chance to cool. And I will show you guys the texture once they have cooled. So right now they're definitely soft, not crispy yet.
Okay,
But
yeah.
as they cool, they're gonna crisp up.
I love the color though.
Yes, but see, like it was a little bit lighter when I took it off the stove, and they're gonna continue to brown.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
And the chili oil is super red. Yay. And I'm just gonna give it a stir to combine.
I'm just gonna pick up mine.
And yeah, you just want to let the oil cool off, let the chilies crisp up, and I'm gonna continue to make the crispy rice. So last night I made Filipino chicken adobo.
Yeah.
Which is a really easy Filipino chicken dish. And I made jasmine rice to go along with it.
Nice.
So I have like about 1 cup of remaining jasmine rice, and on my back burner here I have 1 teaspoon of toasted sesame oil and 1 tablespoon of olive oil heating up. And I'm just going to, after it's heated up, I'm going to remove it and shake it around just so that it's evenly coating the back. And I'm going to press day-old rice into the bottom. You want to use day-old rice because the starches are going to have clumped up. Like you see how we have like clumpy pieces here?
Yeah.
You want to press that into the bottom. This is a really great way to use old rice. It's not necessarily fried rice because I'm not adding any more flavor to it. I'm just changing the texture and allowing the oil to sort of fry up the bottom bit. Yeah. And this is really great with a fried egg over it. And the chili oil. I'm going to use some roasted green beans with it for lunch.
Oh, yum.
Put it back on the burner and let it sit for like 5 to 8 minutes. And you can increase the contact by just pressing it down.
Okay. I love that this is a great use of day-old rice because sometimes you're left with even just like 1 mini portion of rice and you don't necessarily have a stew or a curry to put alongside it or whatever else you might have had on the side the night before. So this is a great way to like quickly reinvent it, repurpose it.
And it makes it feel new. Yeah, exactly. You don't feel like you're eating leftovers, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I think have browned a little bit, so I'm gonna just do the pour over.
Oh, perfect. Your angle's great.
Yeah, I can already see it's like browning up a little bit more, which is great. They're gaining some color. I do think mine are a little bit softer. That's probably because my heat was probably just, I was playing it safe and was a little bit on the lower end.
Okay.
But I think that's, I mean, the flavor will still be there and like hopefully airing them out will crisp them up.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mine were soft too coming out.
Okay.
That makes a huge difference. That cool time.
Yeah, it's already changing colors, so that's perfect. And then just like, you know, I know when we were prepping for this video, we were chatting a little bit about how using that small saucepan, the heat distribution and the amount of oil, the connection between the two. So if you could just share that with everyone, because I thought that was like a great point.
Yeah, so you want to use a smaller pot so that there's less surface area. And so that it simmers rather than boils, and it happens at like a slow, gradual pace as opposed to really quickly. If you use a pot that's like, or a pan that's like this size, 1.5 cups of oil is going to be like a ½ inch up, as opposed to like 4 to 5, which you get from using a smaller saucepan.
Okay.
And it'll happen much faster and in a much less controllable manner. And you want to make sure that you're keeping things slow so that the garlic and the shallots and the peppercorns and the cinnamon really get to infuse the oil. That's what that step is for.
Yeah.
So to begin with, before we even add the chilies, we have a super flavorful oil from the garlic, shallots, and cinnamon.
That's true, yeah.
So that's why that stuff is really important. You want to let it happen. If you rush it, you're not really going to get that flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, my oil's got changed color too already, and it's so pretty. It's this
Ooh,
bright
yeah,
purple.
it's so pretty.
And then with like, could this be translated in a different way where you could just do the oil and the garlic to make like a garlic oil for a pasta or something like this?
Yeah,
or would it be
totally.
different
That's what I'm
methods?
saying. Like substitute like as much as you want to. Honestly, the only things that are like a must
Yeah.
are you want salt, you want the chili flakes, and you want like a neutral oil.
Okay.
Otherwise, all your flavor additives can be like completely up to you. Omit the sugar, omit the paprika, switch it out for other spices that you like. Really
I love
like.
that.
There's a lot of freedom here.
Yeah.
It's just the ratios to keep in mind.
Perfect. Okay. And then something else we wanted to pick your brain about. I wrote this down. Sorry, you're just waiting for your rice right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we're letting the oil cool for a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick your brain a little bit. So I think like with quarantine, like we said, this was just a great way to elevate a small dish. So what would you say, like, just like on your own reflections about how sort of quarantine has helped us notice these things, right? Like, notice that, like, that chili oil that even though we noticed it at the restaurant, like, just having that at home and, like, the small things in life type of mentality, like, I just want to hear your, like, reflections on that.
I mean, I think that, like, slowing down, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's it. You're slowing down. You have more time to notice and take time to do the small things. Honestly, I really wasn't cooking that much before the quarantine. It's something I've always really enjoyed to do, but something that I don't have the time for otherwise. And so it's been really nice to like reconnect with that love. I've like had it since I was a kid. I come from a family of like a lot of people who love to be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so I've really enjoyed literally just slowing down, and you take the time to remember the things that you liked about not quarantine. And I feel like once we like exit this time, we're going to remember it and be fond of the things that we did during this time also. Like I feel like there will be, I can like anticipate the nostalgia to occur because I know that this time has allowed me the opportunity to really be slow and like intentional and genuine in everything that I do, and I really appreciate that opportunity.
And I do, I definitely, that, that resonates with me because I feel like that's something I noticed too. Just like, I've always been that type of person that needs that extra time to replenish and to recuperate, but
Yeah,
this has
exactly.
been at a different level. This has been deeper, and it's been a lot of reflection about just even with things going on in the world, right? Like 2020 has been quite a year to say the least, and with the last 2 weeks and the last, I mean, honestly, the last like 3-4 months, it's been
Yeah.
quite something. And I think the time to like know that we can't escape from our day-to-day to our day-to-day distractions and actually like have to sit and think and deal and sometimes even want to almost rewrite the rest of the year.
No, 100%.
It's great. And I love what you
And
did
it's
with,
so valuable.
sorry, say that again.
It's so valuable being that like we have the opportunity to be able to do that, you know. And I know that like obviously this time affects everybody else, like everybody differently. But I feel grateful for sure.
And I think that that's something to say, right? Because otherwise in life, when you're like, oh, if I had an extra day in the week, what would I do? I would, either use it to self-reflect or to relax or to do something philanthropic or whatever it may be, right? And philanthropy doesn't even have to donate millions of dollars. It's just like it's the quality of it, not the quantity, right? And I think
Yeah.
I love what you did with baking. So if those of you are not familiar with what I'm mentioning, Zaina basically, in her enjoyment and expertise in cooking and baking, Zainab has put up a menu for this whole week, and there was baked goods for every day. And then I think you still have tomorrow. You're doing focaccia. Is that correct?
Tomorrow I'm doing cinnamon rolls, and the following day I'm gonna do the focaccia.
So basically, it's whatever, $5 a portion. You can get as many as you like. You just DM her before, and because it's an in-person pickup, yes, it's restricted to Long Island, but because of that, I feel like what I noticed, having some mutual friends and family, I noticed that a lot of people took that initiative and supported you and supported your cause, and it involves a lot of the local community, right? Like it's almost like
Yeah.
people are more loyal. There's more engagement because of that.
I feel like this is everybody's fight. You know what I mean? I'm happy to be able to facilitate it, and I'm happy to be able to do something that I love for a cause that I love. And honestly, yeah, if you're in the Long Island area, I have 2 days left. We match donations up to $1K, and we have so far $2,500 going towards the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, which goes directly to helping change the system. And honestly, I'm really thrilled and so happy for the support. Yeah.
No, that's amazing that you were able to raise your goal before the end date. So yeah, congrats on that. That's amazing, and I do think it's a great cause because I think that the Black community does suffer in terms of bail and in terms of it being um, basically a systemic problem. And so
Yeah, and I think we all have our own reflections to make.
Yeah.
And just to play our part, right, in making sure that this isn't a reality of the future. And it's so sad that it's a reality of now, and that's why change needs to happen. Change is uncomfortable. We'll make mistakes, but I think it's inevitable. It needs to happen.
It needs to happen, yeah. And I don't think that there's a part that, yeah, 2020 is crazy, but a part of it is like, I think all this crap existed before, but for us to have that time to actually make a change is great. And I know that you share that some people had reached out to you, some of your followers had reached out to you and started emulating the same business model. I wouldn't say business model, but the same model for fundraising in their local communities. And I think
No, yeah, it's been great. There's a lady in Philadelphia that was like, I love what you're doing. I want to do it there. I was like, absolutely. Take whatever skill you have, whatever you can offer to help push this, I think is so valuable. And I literally, this is everybody's fight, and we're privileged to be able to be the ones that are uncomfortable by it, and not directly hurting from it. But we need to do our part. If your friend or sister was experiencing any type of oppression or somebody was stepping on them, you would tell them stand up. And all need to help. I really feel like we all have our part to play in making sure this isn't a reality in the future.
Yeah, and we all have a talent, and it's like, even if you haven't discovered it yet, like think about like what hobbies you have or what you do, even if it's as simple as just like how you talk to your children. Because
yeah, exactly.
We can change some of the adults today, but I think what really makes a difference is that next generation, because they're growing up and they're forming their mind. So it's about how are they forming their mind, right? So
and especially in the South Asian community, we need to have the harder conversations. There's definitely a respect dynamic for the older people in our communities, but we need to have the conversations. No one needs to be rude. You can literally just express to them that these things that you're doing are propagating a system that is unfair, and they will understand if you explain it to them. It's definitely hard, and I totally get that. And I've had my fair share of awkward conversations this past week, but they need to happen at a certain point. Okay, so I'm going to shift and show you guys how crispy the crispy bits have gotten. They got a bit darker and they're completely crispy. My oil is actually pretty cool. I used a pretty big bowl, so it's just a little bit. So I'm going to mix it together.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes it takes more than one conversation. Like even with my own mother, I used to go over things that I had grown up around, and it was not necessarily their fault. It's like they've been just brought up that way, and that's all they know. But it's more just opening them up to create space for that change.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was simple example, I had to explain them that it's because of colonization that you think that going out and getting too much of a tan is a problem.
Yeah.
It was before your wedding, don't make sure you don't spend too much time in the sun. But it's
yeah.
What's the big deal? But it's just
that's their mentality. And yeah, we're gonna have to do a lot of work, and it's gonna take time, and it's gonna be uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, it needs to be done, and I feel like that's what's going to stick this time around. Is this has been a fight forever, but I think there's more will than ever to make sure that it doesn't continue to be a fight, and we can actually make long-term sustainable change. And that's why you have to know that it's not going to be an overnight thing, and that you got to keep talking and keep having these conversations.
And I think that's the thing. That's what's the beauty of what's going on now. I know it's overwhelming, and yeah, you need a minute to calm down and replenish from that. But a lot of it is just
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I'm just transferring the chili oil into a jar. And I'm gonna store it. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Yeah, I got these like clear jars off Amazon, and honestly, I use them way more than I ever thought I would.
I use it for everything. I put like my flax seeds, my hemp seeds, like
Yeah,
granola, oats, whatever it is for my pantry, and it helps everything look consistent in my pantry, my cupboards, and
yeah,
my cheese pastes and my chili oils and whatever in there, so it's great.
yeah. So
Can we get a little peek at what it looks like?
yeah.
Yum! Wow, that color is amazing.
So I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna actually leave it on the counter to finish cooling, and I'm gonna put whatever left I have. It makes about like a cup and a quarter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I finished up my crispy rice, and I have my green beans, so I'm just gonna put some on top.
And it has good shelf life. Like it has to be refrigerated, but it stays for a few weeks.
Yeah, it does. And if you are really after a few days, I would say the crispiness of the crisp sort of like dissipates a little bit. So if you're really interested in that part, keep it separate and mix it as you use it. So this is what I got for lunch today. I'm very excited.
Wow, that looks so good. Like, okay, guys, this was great because you can see the separate parts and how it came together.
Yeah.
It looks so much more interesting than it did in its like parts.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. And then I'm just putting some over my, let's call it brunch.
What do you have?
I mean, honestly, I love breakfast food for dinner. But
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
just to give you guys a peek, it's just like you guys saw what it looked like before. It was still good, eggs, avocado, hummus, but now with this, and then if you also just don't even want the pieces on the avocado, you can just do the oil. You can just scrape out the oil and just put it over because it's been simmered. It has so much flavor. I love that. Okay, I'm gonna pick your brain about one more thing before we sign off.
Okay.
What are some of your favorite kitchen tools?
Ooh, that's a good one. So actually, I have one. Aside from the ceramic knives, which are like by far the most life-changing things in my kitchen, I have this pepper grinder that I don't know where I found it, to be honest. Actually, I think I got it off Amazon.
Yeah.
It's a unicorn pepper grinder, and just as the name suggests, it's majestic. It's the best pepper grinder I've ever used. Like I've used the wooden ones. Whenever I go to restaurants, I'm like sitting there for like 10 hours. That's probably, yeah, literally. This probably gives me a quarter teaspoon of ground pepper in one grind. And you'll feel the difference when you use it. No, yeah, it is. When you'll feel the power of the grinder when you use it. It's amazing. I like literally can't talk about it enough.
I've actually seen the chefs up on I love their YouTube channel, use that.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I've ever heard them sort of like call it out, so I never really noticed what it was, but I
It's totally worth it, honestly.
quick and easy, and it looks nice.
And then a rubber spatula.
Nice.
A rubber spatula with the handle also being rubber makes a big difference because one, it's cleaner. When you have the separate wooden piece and the rubber piece, stuff gets stuck in the indents. Not cute. Yeah, and honestly, they're super firm. So I got this set from Target, and it was like a set of 6, and I have like some more flexible ones, some more like sturdy types, and I don't actually use any wooden spoons. I just use these, and I feel much better because silicone is like much better at not holding bacteria also.
Right. So I have a question with that. What do you use like if you're grounding up beef? Like when I'm browning beef and I need to separate it, I needed something like hard to like push down, so I end up using a wooden spoon for things like that.
Yeah, I use that. Because I have ones that are like more flexible and ones that are like a lot more firm. And so that works perfectly for me.
Okay, yeah, so they don't bend as you're sort of.
Yeah, they don't bend at all. Like some of them are literally like wooden spoons, like they're spoons, not spatulas.
Right, they're quite hardy, yeah.
Yeah. And I've had them for a year and a half also, and they're good as. And then microplane. I love to use fresh ginger and garlic, but I totally get that it's a pain. And so I'm like always using my microplane to grate as much as I need. It makes things much faster than sitting there chopping it, mincing it. The paste trick is definitely the best cheat. But if you're trying to get the flavor of fresh garlic and ginger, then the microplane definitely. Yeah. And then the mortar and pestle, which we used today, that we talked about why that's amazing already. Yeah, I feel like those are definitely my top 5: the ceramic knives, the mortar and pestle, the unicorn pepper grinder, and the rubber spatula, for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely check.
Or if you just want to share the name, and then I can put it on like stories.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Or I can post it in like a gallery of photos for people to reference.
Okay, nice.
Because I think with kitchen recommendations, there's so many out there. So those like word of mouth recommendations are the best. Because like they're tried and tested, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love the microplane as well. And then like I shared, I love this. This is off of
Yeah.
Amazon. It was like, I don't know, $12, and it's.
Oh, nice.
I've had other ones before that are like double, and they're usually in this case, and you have to open them to wash them. So I love that this is. I think this is by OXO. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You know, it's just simple, easy, does
Their
the
stuff
job.
is great.
Yeah, and I love this glove because I think my husband's heard me too many times like scream in the kitchen, like as in the whole kitchen went on fire, but I got just pretty serious.
No, yeah, that's great.
I would. They say it's heat proof, but I don't really use it as heat gloves. But I
Yeah.
love because these things always come with that little gripper thing that eats into the vegetable, but then
Yeah.
vegetables. So I love these because I could just go crazy and like not like I could literally like put a knife on it and it won't cut my hand. So
Oh, perfect.
so they're quite foolproof. So I
Nice.
guess in the microplane as well. Like not that you need it, but like you want to grating cheese. Like if the cheese is too cold and like my hand slips. I don't know things like that.
Yeah, I know. Of course, accidents happen, and the better prepared you are, the better.
Because I am a clumsier person, so if anyone out there is clumsy, this is a great kitchen tool.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I think that was pretty good. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. And yeah, please guys like do donate generously. Like, and when I say generously, what any little amount counts. And then we'll be able to match donations. And yeah, and hopefully we can do this again.
Perfect. Thank you.
You can watch the replays. I'll share the link as well.
Okay, perfect. I'll send you those links also right now.
Perfect.